Welcome to Heritage Stories, Visionaries and Experimenters, created by the Freedom's Way National Heritage Area. Each story introduces an inspiring individual whose actions, discoveries, and inventions shaped social, intellectual, and cultural innovation in Freedom's Way and America, changing the way in which Americans viewed the world. They made a difference. I'm your narrator, Candy O'Terry, and today's story is Fannie Farmer and the cookbook that changed the world. In my recipe box, there's a recipe from my grandmother. The directions read, 2 full handfuls of flour, a good pinch of salt, and milk to moisten. Imagine making this recipe, looking at your hands and wondering what the amounts all meant. Enter Fannie Farmer, the mother of level measurements. Fannie authored the Boston Cooking School Cookbook, the first cookbook to use standardized measurements in recipes. Now the cook, regardless of experience, had no need to wonder and could achieve the same results every single time. Born in 1857 to parents who believed in education for women, Fannie attended Medford High School until she was 16 when she contracted polio. Bedridden for years, Fannie regained her ability to walk, although she had a lifelong pronounced limp. During her recovery, she developed an interest in cooking, which resulted in her turning her parents' home into a boarding house, which was known for its quality meals. Encouraged by her parents, she enrolled at age 30 in the Boston Cooking School. The domestic science movement was at its height, and the school believed in a scientific approach to cooking and housekeeping, teaching nutrition and diet, sanitation, chemical analysis, and household management, in addition to the techniques of cooking and baking. Graduating in 1 year, Fannie was asked to become the assistant to the director and became principal of the school only 2 years later. A force of nature and smart businesswoman, Fannie transformed the cooking school, taking it from a struggling philanthropic venture to a popular cooking school for middle and upper-class housewives. Limping across her elevated kitchen platform, she would teach as many as 200 students. Interestingly, despite her ability to teach cooking, her niece, Wilma Lord, described her as more of a great executive food detective and gourmet than a great cook herself, with her maid doing much of the cooking. In 1896, she published her pioneering book, the Boston Cooking School Cookbook, containing about 1,800 recipes. Lacking confidence in its success, publisher Little Brown and Company limited the first printing to 3,000 copies and made Fannie cover the costs. The first edition sold out rapidly, with 2 more editions printed the following year. Wisely, she retained the copyright, much to the regret of Little Brown. At the time of her death, it had 27 printings and had sold over 360,000 copies, making her a very wealthy woman. The popularity of the cookbook may have been that it read as if she were teaching it. She stressed the need for exact measurements and the purposeful following of a recipe and explained why that mattered. She offered rigorous, detailed cooking instructions, up-to-date information on nutrition, tips on cooking techniques, recipes for the sick, and menu suggestions for the homemaker. According to Fannie, quote, correct measurements are absolutely necessary to ensure the best results. Good judgment with experience has taught some to measure by sight, but the majority need definite guides, unquote. It promised that if you wanted to cook like Fannie Farmer, just follow the cookbook. In 1902, Fannie opened her own school, Miss Farmer's School of Cookery, that was designed to train housewives and not teachers, institutional cooks, or servants. Her school remained open until 1944. She developed a program of diet and nutrition for convalescents. A popular lecturer, Fannie was invited by Harvard Medical School to speak to the medical students. She wrote several additional cooking-related books before her death in 1915. A revised copy of her book, now entitled The Fannie Farmer Cookbook, is still in print today. Over 100 years, since its first edition and is one of the highest-selling cookbooks, having sold over 4 million copies. Introducing science into the art of cooking, the Cookbook became one of the most influential books in the world. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Heritage Stories. Each story provides insight into the lives of individuals who were born or lived within the Freedom's Way National Heritage Area and were shaped in some way or another by their time here. These are individuals who have made a difference and were at the forefront of social, intellectual, and cultural innovations that relate to new things or ideas that the world, or at least Americans, have never seen before, proving enormously influential on American culture, making Freedom's Way a region of firsts in American invention, thought, and design. To learn more, please visit us today at freedomsway.org and let us know what you think.